Welcome to the Growth Boss podcast, where we seek out the secrets to high-performing campaigns from some of the smartest marketers in the world. I'm your host, Jared Smith. Today, I have Brandon Leibowitz with me, and he's going to teach us how to rank on page 1 of Google for your target keyword in under 30 days. Brandon is a digital marketing professional with 18 years of experience helping websites rank higher on Google. In 2008, he recognized that having a website wasn't enough. Businesses also needed effective marketing to stand out online. This insight led him to launch SEO Optimizers, an agency dedicated to helping companies rank for competitive keywords that drive leads, sales, and business growth. Through his expertise and determination, Brandon has helped hundreds of businesses achieve significant online success. Brandon, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. So Brandon, where do we start in getting a website ranked on the first page of Google in 30 days, which is an amazing feat? So looking forward to learning more about that. But where exactly do you start with a new client?
What keyword research is, just in general, you always want to try to figure out what keywords have good search volume, but also low competition. Because if you're just targeting really generic, big keywords, the more competitive your keywords are, the more time it takes to rank on Google. So finding these lower competition, low hanging fruit, maybe you're already ranking on page 2 for some keywords. Let's try to push those up. So also using tools like Google Search Console, which would show you where you're ranking currently. And then we could look for that low hanging fruit, try to push those up, but also keyword research on new keywords or synonyms and plurals and variations of those keywords, because the way people search, it's so different. People could search a ton of different ways with keywords at the beginning, at the end, speaking into their phone and doing voice search adds a whole different layer on top of it. So just trying to capture all those and just figure out which ones are going to be the most search volume with the least competition and incorporating those into pages on your website.
And so when I hear about finding low-hanging fruit keywords, I'm like, wait a minute, this is 2025. Is there any such thing as a low-hanging fruit keyword in this day and age?
Well, it'd be like if you're on page 1, but you're ranked number 9 for a keyword, that one you are pretty close to being at the top of page 1. Those would be low-hanging for your own website if you've been established. But if you're a new website, then trying to find new keywords that aren't competitive, it's tough. But yeah, it's all about niching down and just trying to not just go after these generic words, but finding something that's going to help differentiate you versus the competition. Just in general is going to help out with business, not even with SEO and also, but just in general, just to help you not get swamped by these big players out there. And eventually you could build yourself up there, but in the short run, you got to find like-sized businesses to compete with.
Makes sense. So once I've identified the low-hanging fruit keywords, what is the next step after that?
Then you want to, if you already have a page about that, if you already looked through Google Search Console and see that you're on page 2 for a keyword, then what you want to do is optimize that existing page. Or if you don't have a page, if it's a new website and you found a new keyword, then you want to create a new page and add content to that page related to that keyword. And what you want to do is figure out, again, we're trying to beat your competition. So I would take that keyword, search it into Google, and see who's on page 1 of Google for that keyword, open up all those websites and see how much text everyone else is writing. And what you want to do is kind of average it out. If everyone's writing 1,000 words, you should write 1,100 words. Try and do a little bit more than the competition, the average, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. Every keyword is going to be different in terms of how Google ranks it and the intent behind that search. And basically, you have to write for people and try to optimize that content by sprinkling keywords into that content to also optimize for search engines, but really writing people first, search engines secondary, because you want to make sure that content's helpful for people. Also, you want to put keywords in different areas in the coding, depending on how technical you want to get, like a title tag, meta descriptions, your image file names should have keywords in it, alt tags. You can add schema markup and just trying to show that keyword as many times as possible without spamming it and just showing Google that this page is really hyper targeted and relevant to this keyword.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, Brandon, when you and I got started in the SEO world, they didn't have special tools that they have today, right? It was all based on gut, and then you kind of test things out. Did that get better? Did it get worse? Today, though, we've got some phenomenal tools. Are there tools that you really like where it's like, hey, here's how many times you need to mention your keyword on the page. Here's some LSI keywords or some other thematic keywords that need to be utilized?
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of tools nowadays that help out much more than back when I first started doing it. So it's very, very time consuming. It still does take a lot of time, but tools like Surfer SEO really help out a lot in terms of analyzing your competitors and seeing how much text, what keyword overlaps there are, and with AI, all these new tools keep emerging. It's tough to keep track of everything nowadays. It's nice, but also a little overwhelming. But Surfer SEO is one that's been around that does help a lot with that. And tools are always great, trying to find tools to help save time and just make you more efficient with your time. That way you can focus on other more important aspects, because content is one of the most important things, but there's also other variables that go into ranking a website, not just having good keywords and good on-page SEO, which is very important, but also getting those trust signals from third-party sites.
Yeah, completely. And maybe the next step. So once I've nailed down kind of a good Surfer score, everything is looking beautiful, I've got it well optimized, where do you go from there?
Then you want to start building trust. Well, also you want to add more content to your website. Also, just having that one page is great, but if you could start having some blogs to help you get topical relevancy about that, that would be great. So maybe writing a few other blog posts that link to that service or product page or whatever that keyword page is that you're targeting to help out with that. But then getting those backlinks, getting other websites to mention you, which that's the part that takes the most time and is not easy, is trying to build good quality backlinks and trying to get sites that are niche related and have some authority to give you a backlink, which I like to start by looking at my competitors using tools like Ahrefs or Moz or SEMrush or any tool to look at backlinks, essentially, because I could take those keywords, just like I searched for my competitors and saw how much text they're putting on their page. I could also take those URLs, put them in these tools to look at their backlink profiles and try to find websites that potentially would link out to me. It's probably not going to work. A lot of these websites are going to be old and outdated, but at least I could kind of get an idea of what might work, or if I see that they're doing a lot of articles, or did they do directories? Are they a local business? Or are they joining like Chamber of Commerce? Or are they doing podcasts? Or whatever their strategy is, I could reverse engineer it and see which seems relevant. Not going after all their backlinks, but going after the ones that are quality versus quantity, and just trying to get those trust signals in any way possible. Because if having a page on your website is great, but if you could get a couple backlinks that point to it, that just speeds things up, gets Google to trust you more. Maybe get some social signals sent to it, some sharing on social media and trying to get some traffic from social media sent to those pages, and just trying to build that trust any way possible. Because depending on how competitive that keyword is, you're going to have to spend some time building a little bit of trust with Google.
Yeah, completely. Now, I want to dig into a topic that you had just referenced briefly, and that's topical relevance. And you mentioned kind of getting a couple blogs out to build that. First off, for somebody who's not familiar with topical relevance, what would you say is kind of your definition?
I would say Google looks at your website and sees that you have a page about a keyword or product, or if you're a dentist, Google sees that, all right, you do teeth whitening, which is great, but they're like, all right, if you do teeth whitening, you should also maybe have some content about teeth whitening on your website. Mm-hmm. And so they want to see that. You have blogs are a great way to do that, where you could add more content about 7 ways to whiten your teeth at home, or how often should I whiten my teeth, or just getting kind of content that you think would be beneficial for your audience. If you're a dentist, people are looking to whiten their teeth, what would they want to look for? What content would interest them? And having those content pieces together that target different topics, but are all related to that main focus keyword of teeth whitening. Yeah. That shows Google that you're relevant. But also those blogs will start ranking. People are searching for those questions. Hopefully your blog ranks. You get that traffic that comes to your website, and then you can kind of lead them into that service page by linking to that page. So Google looks at how third-party sites link to you, but also how you interlink your own pages together as internal links are pretty important to really look at that and structure them out in a good way.
That makes sense. And for the average business owner that's listening to this and they're like, okay, cool, I get that. You know, Google wants to see a number of different pages on my topic so that I appear to be an authority. The next, I think, logical question is going to be like, okay, so how many blogs do I need? How much of this content do I need to be perceived as an authority? Is there a process that you go through to help kind of the business owner determine that?
That one, I try to look at what keywords, what common questions that come up, and try to write around that stuff. So if I see there's like this really big topic like teeth whitening, should I do it at home or should I go to a professional? Maybe write that one. So kind of finding those big, more important ones. And sometimes there might be a lot with more like health and stuff, health and investing, finance kind of niches. So some might require a little bit more than others, but you don't want to overdo it where you're just going into, like, I see people going to ChatGPT and say, write me 100 articles about this blog post topic. And it's all about quality over quantity with everything. Quality with the backlinks, quality with your content, quality with over quantity. Don't overdo it. So that's the one thing is just try to, again, write for the reader. And if you think I'm writing too many, like if I'm spinning too many articles off, that could just kind of be combined into one blog post. Maybe merge a few of those blogs together. Sometimes you have to go in and kind of weed through the old blogs that you wrote in the past and clean them up and remove some of them that are just not as good or not the quality that you want, or update old content. Google sees that you re-updated it. They look at that, and that's a great way to refresh old content that you might have wrote. Like, I've been doing SEO for a while. I have blogs that are 10 years old that if I update it, then some of the strategies still work to this date. It's just making sure that I update it to make sure it's relevant.
Yeah, I love that. You know, a lot of the articles I probably wrote, 10 years ago, probably 500 words, maybe 600 words. Today, if you did the same search on that topic, it could be 1,000, 2,000 words. So there's probably a level of age, maybe authority with that page, and you go in and refresh it, kind of bring it up to date with the latest standards and kind of get it, like you said, on par with where your competitors at in terms of page length. That could be a real quick win. Like you said, winning in 30 days or less. I mean, that could certainly help a page get ranked quickly, right?
Yeah, no, re-updating, refreshing that content helps speed it all up. But also just find those niche keywords. So find those low competition, because I worked with a lot of clients. I mean, most of the time it does take a while to rank for a keyword, but you find these low competition keywords that are just going to move up much, much quicker, like local businesses, like the dentist. You could create those city-specific pages. If they're a dentist in Los Angeles, they might also want to rank for Santa Monica or Venice, and having those pages is where I see really quick rankings if they're more established, where they seem to rank pretty quickly nowadays. But it's all about quality and not just throwing up a generic page that offers no value. You got to write for the reader. Like, if you're a realtor and you're doing this, you can create pages about each city and then write about the schools and the crime rates and information that's going to be useful for the reader, not just throwing up generic content, because that doesn't really work.
Yeah, makes sense. And then as it relates to kind of getting these quality backlinks, obviously a really important part of Google's algorithm. It's been an important part for a long time. Are there any like kind of low-hanging fruit, quick wins that you like to do? Maybe not for every website, but you're like, hey, for most of my clients, I can kind of go in and get a couple quick links at these areas. I know a decade plus ago, there were a couple directories that were really good. I know directories aren't the best anymore, but maybe there's a couple other sites like that where you're like, yeah, here's a couple quick wins. Maybe even the competitors also don't have a lot of links. They don't have a lot to go off of, but you've got kind of like, okay, here's a couple quick wins in the link department. Do you have any of those that could share?
I wish they were quick wins, ones that are easier, but they all kind of require time or money, because no backlink is really free anymore. But good ones that most websites should have, like if you can join a chamber of commerce in your area, that's always good, especially if you're a local business, but you have to pay for that. But that's a really good local backlink. It's a directory. Directories aren't as helpful anymore, but Google sees that you're paying for something like a chamber of commerce. That gives a little bit more weight into it, where like, all right, you're investing money into your business, which Google doesn't trust anybody. And most of these scam, fly-by-night kind of websites, they're not going to spend money on a chamber of commerce or pay it again to like a BBB, the Better Business Bureau, stuff like that. But if you're a local business, I would definitely try to get in like Apple Maps and Bing Maps and Yellow Pages and MapQuest and all these other maps besides Google Business Profile, because the more maps you're in, that helps you rank higher on Google Maps. Also, you get some backlinks. Again, not the most quality, but they're not bad backlinks. Good backlinks are more niche related. So depending on what type of business you are, you want to try to find other websites that are related to what you're doing. It doesn't have to be exactly what you're doing. Like, I can't really reach out to another SEO company to get a backlink. They're probably not going to give it to me, but I could find websites that are related to marketing, advertising, about traditional marketing, about entrepreneurship, about anything somewhat related to what I'm doing. That's what Google wants to see. The more related, the better. But a good way to get on these websites is an old way that still works is reaching out to them if they have blogs and seeing if you were right for them, get editorial status, getting after quality, not quantity, and finding good sites that you could potentially reach out to write for, or being a guest on podcasts is another great way to get out there. But these aren't really quick wins. They take a lot of time, but good backlinks do take time, and SEO does take time. It's not immediate, and it is a long-term play, and any shortcuts, it might work in the short run, but in the long run, it's probably not going to work, and it's going to catch up with you, and I wouldn't risk it. So anything that seems too good to be true, I think Google's been around for 30 years looking at people trying to game the system, and anything that you think of, Google's probably seen that, and if Google hasn't seen it, eventually they're going to catch on, or your competitors are going to catch on and tell Google, hey, what's going on with this website? And you don't want that to happen where you get penalized.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got our content optimized. We've got some good quality links coming into it. Is there anything else that we need to do in order to really get our website positioned well in Google?
You want to start tracking and monitoring everything through Google Analytics, Google Search Console, or keyword-specific tools to track rankings like Ahrefs or Moz or any keyword ranking tracking tool that will show you what position your keyword is in today versus tomorrow versus next week. So you can track and monitor and see the performance, but you really have to be looking at the data and not just hoping that this is going to work. And Google Analytics, it's a free tool. Google Search Console is a free tool. Analytics is more just for an overview of all your traffic, which is great to look at. Mm-hmm. Search Console is all pretty much geared for SEO to look at keyword rankings, performance. If you've been penalized, they would maybe tell you there. They might not tell you, but they potentially would tell you there. And it gives you a lot of information in all those tools. And that's where you just track performance and see if I'm going up, I'm dropping down, what's going on. Usually it fluctuates, it bounces around. So if you see you going up and dropping down, I wouldn't get worried too much. But if you see it dropping down continuously, then maybe you might have overdone it, put too many keywords in there, or built some low quality backlinks, and you might have to disavow those backlinks or try to get them taken down, or take some of those keywords off that page and try to figure out what you did. So you could try to make note and test stuff out. Like on May 31st, I added 500 words of new text, or depending on what platform, like WordPress, it keeps track of revisions for you, which is nice. So that could help out, but you want to always try to track that stuff.
Yeah, love it. Love it. And that's a great point, because it's hard to remember sometimes, especially when we're thinking a month or two later, like, okay, what did I do to that page? Because it may go up and you're like, okay, what did I do to make it go up? Maybe I could do that same thing to other pages, or it may go down and you were like, okay, how do I undo that? So, what we do kind of internally is we have a little diary, that we kind of just can kind of run and keep track of, like, okay, I've added 2 more instances of our main keyword on this page. Let's track it for 30 days. Does it go up? Does it go down? So that we can iterate and continue to make improvements on the site. So Brandon, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I'm really curious where you see SEO going in 2025. Let's kind of look forward. We're at the beginning more or less of the year. What do you see for this year? What do you see for SEO, even going past this year?
That one is a little tricky. In the past, it was pretty stable until AI took over and just threw everything in a whirlwind of just trying to figure out what's going to happen. Are people going to keep using Google, or are they going to go on ChatGPT or Perplexity and all these new AI platforms that are good, but I feel like they're more informational, not transactional, but shifting towards transactional. And we're going to have to see what happens when that happens. But right now, I would just say, just in general, you always want to think, where is my audience and how do I get in front of them at the right moment, at the right time when they're looking, and they're searching on Google, or if they're searching on Yelp, or if they're searching on Amazon or YouTube, or now AI platforms. There's ways to optimize for that, and it's just trying to figure out where your audience is and how to optimize for these new platforms, which I feel like AI is definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. It's just going to what's going to happen with search? Is it Google's still going to dominate? And if Google still dominates, how's Google going to incorporate AI? Because they keep changing and adding things. But they've always had that featured snippet, which is kind of that text at the top of Google search results, where it answers a question right there, which is similar to AI. It's not the same, but you can't interact with it. But Google's kind of been pushing for that for a while, not keeping people on Google longer and not leaving Google, because they want you to stay on Google and eventually do a keyword search where there's an ad and you click on that ad and Google makes that ad revenue.
100%. I love that. I love what you said. The goal at the end of the day is just to get in front of our customers wherever they are. And if we don't fall in love with any specific tactic, but we just fall in love with our customers and say, listen, we just want to get in front of our customers no matter where they go. I think everybody that has that type of mentality will always have a business. And so I think that's a great way to end this specific episode. Get in front of your customers no matter where they are, and you'll always have a business. Brandon, thank you so much. For people that want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, for anyone that wants to learn more, I created a special gift for them. If they go to my website at seooptimizers.com/gift, that's SEOoptimizers.com/gift. And they can find that gift there along with my contact information and other classes I've done. I've thrown up for free so they could see step by step how to do some of the stuff that we talked about. And also, if they have a website, happy to check out their website from an SEO point of view, and they could book some time on my calendar there for free as well.
Amazing. Really appreciate that. Brandon, thanks again.
Thanks for having me on.